You know you need fiber for a healthy gut, but do you actually know how to get it? Quaker's been serving up fiber since 1877, with over 100 great-tasting, good source of fiber options to choose from. Whether you like old-fashioned oats, instant oatmeal, granola, or oatmeal squares, Quaker makes it delicious. So good. Get your fiber with Quaker. Shop Quaker's good source of fiber products at a store near you.
You are watching Bit of an Animal. This is the Friday Match 23 episode. We're coming to you every Monday, every Friday, most weeks. I've got Ethan and Ethan. I've got Bryce and Temikosi with me this evening. Guys, we have a lot to get through and we're running slightly late, so let's get stuck in. Well, instead of starting with the Match 23 assessments as we normally do on Fridays, we're going to start with the biggest story of the week, the story that sort of evolved over time since Saturday night last week, almost a week ago. The injury to Ethan Hooker when Luke Morgan from Ospreys jumped on him in the in-goal area. All South Africans are upset. All the Welsh people are upset about the fact they get so little sun. Bryce, over to you first.
How's it, guys? What does consistency mean, guys? Like what does that mean? Because in rugby, I don't think we know what that means. So let's I'm gonna cover this in two parts, okay? Because I think so. The first is there's the on field, okay. So if I remember correctly, there was a TMO call. There was a TMO call to ask about this diving on the player, okay. Now, maybe it's a mistake or not. I don't think it's a mistake. I think that was intentional. They wanted to dive on there, ruffle off. But nonetheless, there was a TMO call. And then we have to ask ourselves, okay, what was the outcome of diving on the player? Okay, Ethan Hooker had to go off, his shoulders off. So clearly it was a dangerous play. There was intention. So that should warrant a card because we don't want to see that in the game. Warrants nothing. Okay, so maybe the ref make a mistake. Okay, it happens. Okay, so now we have the citing commission. So okay, he needs to look at this thing and say, okay, does this thing need to be upgraded to a yellow or red card or a penalty or whatever? From what I know or what I've read, it doesn't warrant a yellow or a red. Which now begs the question now, can we instruct the African teams to do this to star players or on any team? Because it's not punishable, guys. The citing guys, they said it's good. You can put 90, 100 kilograms on a shoulder and get away with it. I mean, if they do penalize you, then you have something to back it up. You can say, listen, based on this incident against Ethan Hooker, it's cool. You don't get penalized. So I think I don't know if I can use language, that's what pisses me off, because it's like, I mean, what's the point of like these laws if it's not even consistent? It's now Ethan Hooker's out for like what, 3-4 months. He's scot-free. It's the precedent's been set. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel, but it's a farce, man, guys. I don't know. I don't know what is consistency. What are the laws? I don't know. You can tackle someone by mistake. You get a red card, banned for 6 weeks. You dive on a guy's shoulder. You set him out for 4 months. It's good to go. I don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, I'm lost for words.
Yeah, Bryce is a loss for words.
First and foremost, let's ask the question. Are you allowed to dive on a player on the ground?
Yes.
So it seems. Maybe only in the in-goal area. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Okay. But yeah.
Look,
but we get your point.
Yeah. So that's my thing. In terms of just what Bryce was going on about. I think the URC needs to decide on a refereeing style. They need to decide, are we type like Super Rugby where sometimes we let little things go, or are we gonna be strict on every single infringement? Because it seems like when you're watching the games, there is a refereeing style when it's like the European teams versus each other. There's another refereeing style when the South African teams playing each other, which is different from the when it's just strictly European plays and European teams playing each other. Then there's also where it's South African versus maybe like Connacht, since they're coming to Ellis Park. You find that depending on whoever is home, there's also a different type of refereeing style. So I feel like first and foremost, they need to come together and decide that, guys, if we want a flow in rugby, we need to let go of some things. This is how we are playing. I feel like they also need to sort that out. But since we are allowed to dive into players, I guess nothing is wrong. I guess Ethan Hooker should have just toughed it up.
Yeah, I think you guys make a good point, because maybe all this controversy could have been avoided if the referee at the time, and this speaks to inconsistency from referee. This is coming from me, who, again, as I said it in the last episode, I have acquaintances who are professional referees. I have acquaintances who are amateur referees who referee within the South African structure. And I'm sort of like very measured in terms of my critique of players, referees, coaches. But like, if the referee, I mean, remember, guys, I watched this on Saturday night. I am a Sharks supporter. I knew we were slight underdogs. This happens towards the end of the game. My emotions move from one thing to another very quickly, because one, Ethan Hooker gets the intercept. He runs, outstrips everybody, then sort of maybe even slows down a little just to put the ball down. And then the reasonably fast Luke Morgan individual then eventually catches up with him. So I go from one thing of like, great, yeah, we scored a try. It's under the post. We'll get the full 7 points. But then Luke Morgan sort of jumps on him. And before anything happened, I'm like, oh, that's a bit unnecessary. And then Ethan Wood gets up. The other players want to hug him, and he sort of shrugs them off. And he immediately sort of starts grabbing his shoulder and stuff. And I'm like, oh, this is horrible, because he's effectively our best attacking backline player, most informed backline player we have. So, like, the referee's there, he sees that, it's okay. The TMO doesn't see it. I don't want to repeat myself from the previous episode where I said, like, where's the TMO? The TMO doesn't come in for that. The TMO then doesn't get Dan Kasende, but he does get Koneral later for fighting Dan Kasende, which he should have been punished. The thing is, there's a lot to unpack with this. I don't know if, like, mentally I can get to everything. Sometimes you just forget things when the camera light is red. But like, it's like you guys said, look, ref doesn't get it, TMO doesn't get it, and then the citing commission says it's okay. I thought at the very least the citing commission was going to say, hey guys, the ref and the TMO were a bit slow that day. We're going to give them extra courses or reprimand them or somehow make it a bit more serious for them. This kind of thing happened. The counter argument that I've seen in articles and online spaces is that, well, this happens all the time at every level of rugby. I saw a video of this happening in South African schools rugby about 3 weeks ago on Reddit, and people in the Reddit comments were saying it's unnecessary, this shouldn't happen. There were counter arguments from people, mostly Welsh, saying, well, there's this incident where the Bulls player did it earlier this season to an Ospreys player. This incident where the Sharks player, the Lions player did this to an Ospreys player or a Welsh player, that type of thing. And what I'm saying is that all the incidents should have been punished. I don't want my players jumping. I don't want Sharks players jumping on people unnecessary. And I don't want other players jumping on any player, not just like star players, Ethan Hooker. I think this is getting a lot of attention also because Ethan Hooker is such a key player for the Sharks, but also for the Springboks. But it might just be an opportunity for us all to remember, like Bryce said, we need consistency. And there's inconsistency in refereeing in football, and that has negative effects, and we can go down that rabbit hole. And there's inconsistency in refereeing in rugby, and this, at the very least, the citing commission should have just suspended him. The reason why we still kind of make fun of what's it, Murray? What's Josh Murray? Josh Murphy, sorry, Josh Murphy from Connacht, who used to play for Leinster, is that there's inconsistency with that incident with Murphy and Jan-Hendrik Wessels, where Jan-Hendrik Wessels didn't even get suspended like 5 games, 4 games, or 3 games. He got suspended 10 games just because Murphy said he did something, but there was no evidence. So that's why we're still a little upset about that. And now there's another incident now with a Welsh player where there's inconsistency of, I think we would have calmed down to an extent or been a bit more chilled about it if the citing commission had said, yeah, you know what? Luke Morgan deserves a 3-match ban. But this argument, oh, it's a part of rugby and it happens all the time. It shouldn't be a part of rugby and it shouldn't happen all the time. Because if we keep going down this road, we're opening Pandora's box. We've got much bigger players than you guys, Ospreys. Luckily for the Ospreys, you're not playing any more South African teams for the rest of the season. Maybe you somehow make the playoffs. No, you have as much opportunity to make the playoffs as the Sharks, which is literally mathematically 1.3%. It's super unlikely. So if this has happened early in the season, I'd be a bit concerned because the Ospreys had to play other South African teams, and the other South African teams might just, which is unnecessary because now the referees are going to be watching that very closely for retaliation when it should have been punished from the start. If he got his timing ever so slightly wrong, he should still have gotten a yellow at least, if not a red, or just I wouldn't really be that happy with the penalty. I would have thought a yellow because this guy's out now for a while. So the story is blown up, German. Understandably so. I mean, Temper's afraid and stuff like that. But to say that we were overblowing it, I will say though that in the previous 2 pods I did mention that the Ospreys. I did allude to the fact that I felt that maybe the Ospreys were pretending to have their front row forwards injured, like a wink and a nudge from the coaching staff through to the people on the ground to tell the players because they were getting mauled to death by Oxenchair and Eddie Swart and Werner Hoch. Vincent Hoch in the scrums. And then the counter argument that I read in an article earlier this week was that, well, it's an independent doctor that adjudicates if the players are actually injured or not. And that's true, but doesn't mean the Ospreys players couldn't have been mischievous and said, oh, I don't feel well. So we don't know really what happens there, but obviously the counter argument is also that we can't really take the risk because like for concussion reasons and stuff like that. We want people to be, we want the Ospreys front row forwards to be in the best of health, but fuck, he's in his shoulder. Just screw it. So we're allowed a few swear words per thing. Thanks, YouTube. So there's inconsistency in that respect as well. So yeah, we'll see what happens. There was also a counter argument that I saw, which I didn't get a chance to research, that Ospreys shouldn't actually have gone down to 14 men, even though they asked for uncontested scrums. I don't believe that's true because the team that does ask for uncontested scrums, they should be punished. But I think there's nuance there of like, why did they go on uncontested scrums? There's like a thing where like if it was a bunch of concussions, then they don't have to go down to 14 men because it's not their fault. My personal opinion is for whatever reason you go to uncontested scrums, it should go down to 14. The counter argument to that is that, oh, the other team's going to try and bludgeon your team. Well, if they bludgeon your team legally, then it's fine. But if they hurt somebody's shoulder illegally, which is what I'm advocating for now, then it's not fine. So yeah, this is gonna boil on for a bit more. The South Africa Welsh sort of friction. Again, Eben Etzebeth, what he did was wrong, and I blame him entirely for that. I don't blame Alex Mann, although Alex Mann should have also been suspended at least 1 or 2 games for what he did, but he got away with that as well. We move on to the Sharks game this evening. Sharks are taking on Edinburgh. Thanks to the people in the comments for explaining how to pronounce that correctly. Always appreciate that. So the Sharks are taking on Edinburgh in Scotland. Also shout out to whoever told us how to pronounce Connacht, right? It's not Connacht. Connacht is the English way of saying it. Connacht is the correct Welsh way of saying it. So the Sharks, pretty much the team of last week, except for we have three centers injured. So that forced us to make a lot of reshuffles in key areas. Siya Kolisi's back, but as it relates to the players that are injured, the aforementioned Ethan Hooker. Who else is injured? Lulu Malan, he's out. And then before the game even started, Jorenjo Julius, he got injured. So 3 players that went on tour, all that play center. got injured, except Ethan Hooker is like a center hybrid type player. Glad to see Siaya back. Like Sibusiso said, Siaya had a good game for the most part, but there were moments where he looked quite young. But look, we forced to play him because we played a 19-year-old before him, and now he's injured. So now we have to play the 18-year-old. If Siaya gets hurt, my 17-year-old nephew is going to have to run on for the Sharks. That's just how it goes. Andre Stessen's at outside center. That's a surprise. Siama Suku, who I have been critical of his performances this season, actually played quite well against Ospreys last week when he came on and played inside center. Siama Suku has played inside center for the Cheetahs before and at Club Rugby. And if you watch some interviews with him, he says he enjoys playing inside center quite a bit. He is a guy that will tackle the stuffing out of the opposition. Makazole Mampimpi comes in. He didn't start last week, but he came off the bench. John Smith starts. We're basically starting John Smith because even though he's leaving for Benetton at the end of the season, we don't have any more fly-offs. Jaden Hendricks starts for the experience. Edwin van der Merwe's at wing. I'm jumping around here, but again, the Shituka brothers. Hopefully they'll very talented guys. Hopefully they'll have a better game this week than last week. Last week they struggled a bit with ball in hand. Pesu Telesi's been a revelation at open side flank. Emil van Heerden starts alongside Jason Jenkins. Handru Jacobs, Faison Bata, and Pato Kakane, Kanyane start in the front row. So that's the same front row that started last week. And then the same front row that came on to make such a good impact this week. Hopefully the opposition doesn't pretend to be injured. Eddie Swart, Oxenche, and Vincent Hoch. Corneral impact, please, Corneral. Every game you come off of the bench, you give away a silly penalty. Can't afford that. Nick Hatton's back on the bench. Siya Kulisi's back on the bench. It's a 6-2 split. Bradley Davids, educated left foot, coming on quite nicely. And then Manus Potgieter was on tour the whole time. Came to us as a wing. Is very much an inside center now. I mean, he's plumped up like Francois Steyn. So we did get some feedback from our colleagues from the URC Rewind. Our good friend Ethan Leto, he gave us some feedback on the Edinburgh team. And before I read go through some team sheets, Ethan said that as it relates to this team, it's ironically, despite injuries, I'd say quite strong as realistically the changes they'd make would be Burberry, Ray, McConnell, maybe Curry in center and Patterson at fullback. Thinking the weakest part is Young at open side 6, or that might be their blind side. So Young at 6 and generally, but also lacking Burberry. So that's the feedback from Ethan Leto. As it relates to the Edinburgh team, the stuff that stand out to me is Sione Tuipulotu's younger brother, Mosisi Tuipulotu. He's been mostly injured since he arrived from the Melbourne Rebels to Edinburgh. Darcy Graham, always dangerous. Might not always make a tackle though. He might sort of make a business decision. Tom Curry is somebody I've heard of. I'm aware of. Anyone else? Oh, here we go. Ewan Ashwin, very good player. Our good friend, former Bulls, Piers Kuman. Former Shark, Dylan Richardson. Don't check his social media activity. Seems to be very right wing, Dylan Richardson. Bowen Finter coming to the Lions. Themikose, your future Lucid prop, very good player. Current Springbok. Yeah, so my feedback on this gentleman is that I think the Sharks are slight favorites. I'm looking forward to this game in a few moments' time. And yeah, I hope we put in a better, more structured performance than last week, because last week we were really all over the place. I would have preferred last week we had started with a 6-2 split. We are running out of time, so we'll jump immediately to what the people want to hear. It's as Jean said, is Bryce going to get his smile back? Bryce, does this team sheet make you smile?
Yeah, I mean, look, we got the change that we wanted. We wanted to see Haaland out. Look, no, nothing against Haaland. Okay, look, I'm just putting that on the record. I don't have anything against Haaland. I just think he's not been a stable force at 15. So yeah, just getting that out the way. The team sheet looks nice. I like Mchunu, Finta, and Fushi. I think that's our strongest front row we're starting with. Ade Smith and Ruben van Heerden. Okay, I think if I'm correct, Schickling's injured, so but that's probably our best locks. I think we're running short on locks now. I think Ben Jason Dixon's probably covering lock there. De Villiers and Ruiz, I expect them to. I don't know who's going to get replaced there because we have Keke Morabe on the bench. So I'm thinking it's probably going to be Paul de Villiers that will be replaced. Reinach and Sacha, I mean, I think they're going to stick with that, the settle halfbacks. Zas and Similani, I think those are the only two wingers we got at the moment. I don't know if okay, I know we got the couple in the under 23s, but from the seniors, I think that's the only two wingers we seem to be using, or Willems, whoever's at 14. Duplessis now seem to be happy with that, and Willems at 15, you got to be happy with that. And then I think it's just the front row swapped. So you got Kutzer, Cable, and Porton on the bench with Tiernesen and Morabe. Okay. I guess both of them are going to be replaced then, I think. I think they're going to replace Dixon with like Tiernesen or something. And then you got Khan, Mattia, and the exciting 18-year-old Marcus Muller. Now I'm really interested to see who Mattia is going to replace here because I would like to see such at 15. I just want to see it. I need to see because maybe that might be it to win the title this season. And I'm unsure where Marcus Muller is gonna play because I mean he's a great center, but I'm seeing those Stormers training videos and he's wearing a number 11 jersey. So I don't know if that's a sign of things to come. In terms of the Glasgow, I think this is a much stronger Glasgow Warriors team than against the Lions. Yeah, because you got Hugh Jones and Tuipulotu together with their best player Carl Steyn on the wings, and yeah, I think if I'm mistaken, that's a full strength backline. Bar, I think number 9. I think that should have been what's his
Horn.
Dobby
Oh, yeah, Dobby or Horn, yeah. Yeah.
Dobby or one, but I think
Yeah.
they injured or something. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly.
otherwise,
You're right.
other
Exactly. Everything from 10 up is full strength. Yeah.
yeah, and then even their forward pack, I think it's pretty decent. I think there's a couple of guys missing there, but it looks very strong. And I think the weather's going to be great tomorrow. So look, if I'm the Stormers, I think we should just play 10-man rugby. I think because I was reading a stat now of the wingers for the Stormers, they only scored 3 tries this season. I'm talking Zas, Senatla, uh, who else played wing? Willems, Similani. They only scored 3 tries together. So let's scrap the backline stuff and just stick 10-man rugby because if we try to do what the Lions did against Glasgow, I think we're not equipped for that. I think Lions are a different breed in terms of attack. Let's stick to 1 to 10 tomorrow. But yeah, in terms of the verdict, I agree with that Stormers by 3 points. But look, I mean, we know what happens after 60 minutes. Stormers they start to get charitable. They start to give points away for free. So let's just hope they aid by like 12 points, and then you'll be safe. But yeah, hopefully
Yeah.
we get to see something great from Marcus Muller. I would like to see him come in for Dan too. But I've got a feeling he's going to come for Zas or Similani.
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean, the training videos, he was wearing number 11, but that's not always the number that they're actually playing in the training. It might just be that's the shirt that fit him or that type of thing. Or they sent out that training video to sort of be like a head fake. Yeah, so as you said, Kyle Rowe, Kyle Steyn, all the Kyles, Hugh Jones, Sione Tuipulotu, Ollie Smith, all really good players. They've I'd say they're like 25% or 30% better than the team that got waxed by Tim Nkosi's Lions. Ben Asher is a good player in his own right, and then Jack Oliver is decent enough, but still not the level of Dobby and Horn. They'll get there. They're still young players. Jack Dempsey, shout out to him, played for Australia at Test Rugby and played for Scotland at Test Rugby. Angus Fraser, more obscure players. Alex Samuels, apparently sort of more of a journeyman. Xander Ferguson, we know from the Scottish team. And then obviously Nathan Macbeth again, Joe Berger. Johnny Matthews always comes on and scores like a maul try behind the pack. Anyone that stands out, and then obviously Stafford McDowell, who'd had a blinder not too long ago in the Champions Cup, but then unfortunately it sort of fell against the Bulls. Stafford McDowell had the game of his life against the Bulls. Played okay in the next Champions Cup game when they got when defeated by Toulon. So yeah, I also think Stormers by like around 3 as also predicted. Yeah. We'll go on to Temi Corsi's this whole I love this Stormers then Lions game afternoons and stuff. That's if you can. Oh, by the way, I was scheduled to hopefully attend the Stormers versus Glasgow game because I also wanted to watch the Stormers under 23 versus Sharks under 23, which is like a hybrid tournament because they also allowed 6 players older than 23, but unfortunately I can no longer make it, which is quite disappointing. But hopefully maybe in the playoffs I can make a turn at Cape Town Stadium. Demikosi, your Lions team up against the strongest possible Connacht team they can put out versus the strongest possible Lions team they can put out. I understand Etienne Oosthuizen's unfortunately injured, so that hurts you a bit at lock because he's been having a very good season. But your thoughts overall?
I don't even think we're gonna miss him that much with Rowan Fenter there. To be honest, this is when I look at this team front row, Kotze, Bocha, and Shawakanya, Fenter, Lensberg, Mahasha, Shekani, Horn. Like all of this, it seems to me like, continuous play. This whole team just feels like it's built to be always moving forward, always connected. When someone gets, like, it seems like everyone knows what they need to do. Like from that whole team sheet, like it seems like Connacht are gonna be running from their money, but just from their performance last week against the Stormers, I can't really rule them out. It seems like it's going to be another 80-minute match. Whoever falls asleep or whoever just switches off for like a little bit of a second might lose it. But I doubt the Lions are going to disappoint us from here. Like, guys, I don't know how to say it, but we've been going on a good streak. And okay, not to rule out Connacht, because now that I think about it, I think both of them are on a winning streak. So whoever wins here kind of carries on their winning streak. So I'm hoping we do the job, but it seems like it's going to be a very interesting match.
It's weird. It's almost like an MMA fight where two not unbeaten fighters, but maybe two fighters on a winning streak sort of collide, that type of thing. Not that the UFC does that anymore because the UFC is run by idiots these days. Shout out to Dana White supremacist dog whistle jackass. But yeah, back to the rugby. I also think the Lions will win this game. They'll probably win it by like between 5 and 3 and points. And but it might well be a high scoring game because both these teams like score a lot of points. I doubt this is going to be like a 15 to 20 game. I think it's going to be like a 35 to 45 game, that type of thing. So yeah, if we go quickly through the Lions team, Corn Horn, fantastic at the back. Angelo Davids liked him because he said maybe not in the best of form at times, but doing the job. Eko van Wyk, man of the match last week. When he got man of the match, he went to the bench and he took his scrum cap off, and I didn't recognize him at all. I've never seen this dude without his scrum cap on, so that's weird. I'm sure he walks around Joburg and people are like, "Who is that guy?" Richard Kriel doing a job. David Kriel's brother, showing just like David Kriel, he can play multiple positions at a high level. So another guy who needs recognition. David Krill obviously also said in an interview that he's so proud to play for the Bulls, even though he's leaving for La Rochelle now, because him and his brother grew up being Bulls supporters. So I don't know how he feels about that. Richard just like plays for the Lions because that's where he could get game time. Chris Smith deserves recognition. Mone van der Berg, Krappies, fantastic player. Batu Klokane is coming on to the starting team because Rowan Venter had to shift. Shots fired at Etienne Oosthuizen because he's like, "Oh, we're not going to miss you." Asnati Klabakane.
We just have good cover. Let's just say that.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's not an indictment of you, Etienne Oosthuizen. It's a thing. When last time
I,
I see
I mean,
Italy?
I feel like I'm gonna need him. I'm gonna need his strength, and it's like I need that bully in him for the last couple
Yeah.
of games.
Yeah, so
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 take
get
a
back,
rest.
get better soon. Yeah, get better soon. We're gonna see how Siba Koma does off the bench. He's played well. He had a good Currie Cup as well. JC Pretorius, open side flank, impact, former Sevens players. Nico staying ahead of Hashim Pete. Interesting, because if you make that type of selection and you lose Cash van Rooyen, then you're gonna get in trouble. The Lion supporters are going to turn on you like the Stormers and the rest of South Africa turned on Dobbo when he picked Galant over Willemse. When Galant was out of form, not and Willemse is like primarily there. That's no shots to Galant. We all have our ups and downs. Kelimpeku, impact of the bench, interesting. Kelimpeku lost his place, lost the number 11 place to Eric Cronje, but Eric Cronje is playing really well, so they can't just give it back to him. Kelly is going to have to fight it back. And then quickly, the Connacht team. Sam
You can
Gilbert,
take
who came.
Angela Davis sides. You can always take Angela Davis one.
Oh, you really?
I'm
Wow. Poor
joking.
Angelo. Because he's like, oh, we can't wait to
Yeah.
chop this into shorts, 1 minute shorts on the YouTube page, and I'm gonna send it to Angelo Davids via some contacts, but and see what his feelings are. I mean, Galant was already asking when's what do you call it when's you Griffith coming to Cape Town earlier this season. But now all that critique, I wouldn't say criticism, seems vindicated. Okay, so Sam Gilbert coming over, a guy Tim Nkosi is obviously quite well versed with because he played Super Rugby not too long ago. Last season he played Super Rugby. I do not have time to watch Super Rugby. I might love rugby, but I just don't have the time. Jack Carthy, did he start at fly off against the Stormers? I don't remember him
Yeah, I
starting.
think he came off the bench.
Bench, yeah. Okay, so Ken Pendergrass got wrapped up by the Stormers last week, was bleeding out his nose profusely, but he starts nonetheless. Where's our good friend? Oh my God. Josh Murphy's gone, guys. What happened to him? He's not in the loose forwards. We don't have to worry about where we put our hands. So yeah, apparently, according to reputable sources, after Connacht scored an upset victory against the Stormers last week, the Connacht team hit the town, and Josh Murphy was seen at the special gentlemen's club, or shall I say, exotic dancers club. Yeah, going into the champagne room with a certain cinnamon. Oh, if she touches you there, it's no problem. But when Jan Hendrik Wessels does it, oh, Josh, that's a joke. You wanker. Anyway, um, Lions by 5. Guys, we have another game to look at. Our Bulls correspondent is not here, so we go through to our other Gauteng correspondent, Temi Corsi. If we can find the game,
I think it was there.
the
Just
brilliance of the internet,
yeah.
Munster, Ulster, Lions, Connacht. When the heck's the Bulls game, guys? Oh, the internet. If you're listening to this, it's not on a Friday. The Bulls are not playing Friday.
Yeah, it's there. How was
Yeah,
it?
They're not on
URC.
a Saturday.
It has to be on the Saturday, yeah. Well, the Bulls.
Yeah.
I thought the Bulls were playing the
Yeah.
Scarlets.
yeah, Scarlets. Bulls are playing the Scarlets. Oh, the wonders of the internet. I would feel bad about this, but I watched the other podcasts and they did the same thing. Stormers Warriors.
Should be the
Yeah.
last game of the day.
Yeah, it should be the last game. Lions. Yeah.
Yeah,
There we go.
there it
Because
is.
the Scarlets were first, I didn't see it. Demikosi, you are in the Gauteng province. This is a Gauteng team. You get the first shot on this one.
I think the Bulls are also, by all terms and purposes, this should be like an easy game for the Bulls. This should be just like another walking. But funny enough, according to the stats, the Bulls have never actually won against Scarlet at home. So there's that. They could be playing for that. But just looking at the team, this is probably their strongest team they can put out, for all the people that are injured. So I'm expecting the Bulls to just run hammered, but you never know with this kind of things. Since they've never won there, maybe it's gonna be one of the like boogie places where no matter how far they go, they just never could do it. But this is just hopeful thinking as a neighbor that doesn't want the neighbor to be happy. But yeah.
Bryce, your brief thoughts. Do you think this prediction above the teams of Bulls by 15 is accurate or a bit too optimistic?
No, that's safe. I think
Mm.
this Bulls team's got two. I mean, just look at that starting 15. There's 10 people that represented the Springboks in that starting 15. There's no way
Yeah.
that
True.
this team should win by anything less than like 12 to 15. I mean, if it's close, then it must be the weather or something. Because I mean, let's be honest. Look at that team. That's an all-star South African team right there. So, and I think it's also nice that we get to see the Bulls players coming back from injury. So I mean, if you put Kane and Moody there, then I think that's a title-winning team potentially. So yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, let's be
I
honest,
think
it's 15.
the problem is though, uh precipitation. Huh? Looks decent weather, bit chilly,
Mm.
but nothing major. What's the wind like? Yeah, it's a calm day
Mm.
in a reasonable day
It
in that
it
part of
should be a
Wales.
straightforward game.
Yeah, but the
Mm.
problem is that I didn't say it out loud, but I kind of also thought that about and I think maybe that's what makes the URC so much fun, like the
Mm.
EPL, English Premier League, in that I thought that the Stormers versus Connacht would be straightforward. I thought Connacht would be better than
Mm.
last year under
Mm.
Lancaster and that type of thing. And they were on a winning streak, but then somehow Connacht won in such a way that they even denied the Stormers any bonus points. So I'm this is the idea, guys. One of the reasons why a lot of the Stormers supporters and the South African supporters in general were a
Mm.
bit upset with the Stormers last week was because you got to win the games that you are favorites for, and you got to win the games that were there for you. So if the Stormers had lost last week to Leinster, a full strength Irish pack
Mm.
Leinster team in Dublin last week, I wouldn't have been upset. But the fact that they lost to sort of a mixed Connacht team at Cape Town when they pretty much had their full city team, although Dobbo will argue that he likes to do the two locks on the bench thing, and then like that brought them a lot of wins early in the season when you can bring two locks on the bench and really destroy the other team's scrum. But the other team could always so pretend to not be able to scrum. Shots fired, Osprey. So um, the Bulls are favorites for this game, but they really need to get it done. So they need to be professional. But the thing that's obviously encouraging is that they were very professional. There was incredibly professional performance last week, and that might not be entertaining for some people, but it's entertaining for me as a non-Bull supporter, but who supports South African teams in general, whose team is not in the running at all. So my backing is now for the Lions, for the Bulls, for the Stormers because they will make the playoffs, God willing, for all of them. But so for me, it was entertaining to see the Bulls run over the team they beat last week, which I can't even remember. Dragons, yeah, our Stokerians. So yeah, Bulls are favorites for a reason, and we all pick them, but we are hoping that they actually like execute next end our URC weekend on a high. But we've also got a game on Monday to discuss. I might
Mm.
not be home to watch this game. This game kicks off at 10 past 4 South African time
Mm.
in Kebega, Eastern Cape, Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium. It is the under 20 rugby championship. What's interesting about the under 20 rugby championship is just at one venue and you only play the other teams once. So there's four teams. That means South Africa just plays the under 20s of Argentina, New Zealand, and Australia just once over a course of like, I think the tournament's like 2 weeks time. Um, I've spoken enough. Bryce,
Mm.
your thoughts on the team in front of you?
That's one of the strongest under 20 teams I've seen in a while for this junior box. I mean, we don't even have Siyaya and Mule in there, and or Juster. So I mean, there's a couple of names, but I think the one name I think we should watch out for is Yakin Ahmad. I mean, I've watched him when he was going, and he's almost like he's like a mixture between Mani Libok and like Andre Pollard. Like he's a very solid 10. I think him and Moyo going to the under 20 World Cup. I think that's an exciting prospect. Obviously, we know about Ethan Adams. He's the next Damien Deland. He's exceptional, and one to look out for is obviously Alzadon Felix. I mean, I think yeah, he's overall that team is good. I mean, Riley Norton back again, and anyone else, Kai Pratt, yeah, and considering some other guys still coming in, I think this might be a very dominant under 20. I don't know if you guys feel this. I think this is a very strong under 20s team that we got this year.
Then Bikosi, Alzidion Felix, your fellow Lions supporter, Sibusiso, is really excited about this player. Any other Lions players stand out to you? And give me your thoughts on this young man who can play fly off and fullback.
Actually, I have not seen him play, so I can't really comment on that.
Hmm.
The person I'm looking forward to is more like Ethan Adams, because
Oh yeah.
I've been waiting to see what he will do, and I was kind of hoping it was gonna be like Ethan Adams and Marcus Miller, because that combination seemed to
Mm.
work very well. But yeah, this is a very strong team.
Mm.
It's
It's
I think it's a good run, especially now that they're going into the what is it, the championships. So we kind of have to see what they will do, what they'll be like just before the World Cup. So
mm,
I'm hopeful. I'm hoping that this time they can actually try to win all their matches and defend the the trophy.
yeah. What's interesting is that so the under 20 team under Kevin Foot, they have multiple camps, so that shifts around sometimes. That's not always the same every year, but over the last 3 years, the windows of playing games as under 20 team. We're not talking about the SA schools team, but just the under 20 team. Their window of playing games is earlier this year they go on a away tour. So this year they went to Georgia because the under 20 World Cup this year. It's under 20 World Cup happens every year. Is going to be in Georgia, to the best of my knowledge. So what happens is they did a tour in Georgia. They played 2 games, my understanding, and then Kevin Foot said when they came back that helped them sort of with the physicality because the Georgians are very physical, as well as work on their set piece. And then what they want to see now from in Gqeberha, in the under 20 rugby championship is that they want to see the players not get tired under certain conditions. They want to see stamina. So anybody in the camp who couldn't keep up with the type of drills they were doing and was like bombing out and that having they would not be selected and probably weren't selected. And then the other key thing that I want to mention is that there's a lot of players who still qualify for this team who are not in the team right now. Why? Because it clashes with the URC and the EPCR tournaments if the South African teams were in the EPCR tournaments. So the coaching staff, from a South African perspective, talking to the unions, seem to mostly lean on the fact that if a guy like Marcus Muller can play URC level rugby instead of playing in the under 20 rugby championship, it would help them to hopefully would help him to be even more prepared for the under 20 World Cup, which is later this year. So that seems to be the idea that Jooste, Marcus Muller, Siaya, we would have seen what would have happened to Loan Jeremiah because he's injured unfortunately, so he can't play with the Sharks or the under 20s. So a lot of guys are in the mix there. I mean, like Riley Norton played Currie Cup game. I think he played
Mm.
one URC or one Championship Cup game. Could you remember that, Bryce? I seem to
I,
remember him
I,
being in the
I
mix
remember him
somewhere.
playing Curry Cup. I don't
Oh,
remember him.
I'm getting him confused with Theron from the Bulls.
Oh yeah,
Not
he played. Yeah.
yeah, who played lock and that, not this Theron, but the previous
Mm.
Theron, who's not
I think
qualified
I think
anymore.
he was there.
Yeah.
I think it was like one of these matches where he might have come off the bench. I remember
Mm.
them talking
Mm.
about him because it was
Riley
kind of like
Norton.
another Paul de Villiers story. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, so we'll have to go back and check
Mm.
that. So from a Sharks perspective, Kai Pratt's there straight out of high school. A couple of these guys have actually also been at the Kai Pratt was at the was invited to the Springbok alignment camp way ahead of time. Oliver Reed played really well for the Storm at the beginning of the season. Interesting
Mm.
that they dropped him back. Maybe they're trying to develop him a little more. So yeah, this is quite a remix from last year. Not a, I think Shavinga might have been. Also, if Moyo was there, it's difficult to keep track. And then obviously Rambo Kubeka. Anybody whose
Mm.
nickname, it's his nickname, is Rambo. We'll try and get his real name on next time's episode. All right, guys, that we're just about 1 minute away from finishing. That brings us to the end of the show. Thank you to Tim and Kosi and Bryce.
Mm.
Until Monday, tune in on Monday when we go to the review show. Until Monday, in Rasi, we trust.
Putting off replacing your window treatments because you think it's complicated? At Blinds.com, we spent 30 years proving it doesn't have to be. And right now, our Spring Black Friday sale makes it easier than ever. Whether you want to DIY it or have a pro to handle everything from measure to install, we've got you. Free samples, real design experts, and zero pressure. Just help when you need it. Shop up to 45% off site-wide. Huge savings on doorbusters, plus a free professional measure now during the Blinds.com Spring Black Friday sale. Rules and restrictions apply.